about who actually triggered the price
I
war.
was going to ask you that. Was
Yeah.
this Putin's war on U.S. shale, or was this MBS's war
Well,
on
we
US
now
shale?
have it. I think we have the unequivocal answer. It was MBS's war on US shale. Can I just? I've said this so many times in so many parts of so many programs, as has Peter. This idea that Putin in February decided to destroy shale has no reality behind it, and he has actually denied it now. What happened was the Saudis came along. They demanded at the meeting of OPEC Plus in Vienna at the end of February that Russia agree to a 300,000 barrel a day cut in oil production, whilst they were going to cut oil production by 1.5 million barrels. What the Russians said was, demand is collapsing. We don't know what's going to happen going forward in this situation. Let's come together at the end of March, look at this situation again, and agree to freeze production for a further month thereafter from the end of March through April, because otherwise everybody will be able to produce in April however much they want. And the Russians also said that if we cut production now, all that will happen is we will be giving a prop to the shale producers who will increase production at our expense. What then happened was that MBS turned round, and this is clearly what he'd always intended to do. He must have known that the Russians would basically say no to a production cut in February. He turned around, told everybody, I'm going to boost production to 12.5 million barrels a day in April. He started raiding his own reserves. And we now have found out that he was actually busy hiring super tankers, 7 of them, and they're all apparently, as we're speaking now, steaming to the United States with 40 million barrels of oil in their hulls. He set out to destroy the shale oil industry of the United States. We now know this. Those 7 super tankers are facts. It's been all set out clearly. If you go to oilprice.com, which is the website of the oil industry, you'll find it all there. And as I say, it was a mad plan, and it's blown up in his face spectacularly.
This is Putin's war on American shale. The American shale market really has nothing to do with Russia's markets at all. I mean, they're not connected, even tangentially. They're not. I mean, so this mantra that comes out of the media doesn't make any sense whatsoever. How much Russian oil goes to the United States?
500,000 barrels is the answer. Very little.
Very little. So what kind of impact would that have? It's ridiculous. Okay. And the thing is too, is that, correct me if I'm wrong, Alexander McCurris, it was in 2016 that they had a production deal with the Saudis, and the Saudis just essentially unilaterally said, no, it's over. And the Russians said, well, we got an agreement.
Yes.
And if we're going to have a new agreement, we have to sit down and talk about it. And MBS was just sent out an ultimatum. Okay. And so if anyone in the American shale industry wants to be angry and wants to place blame, they can blame it on MBS. Okay.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
What MBS wanted, I mean, I am quite sure, by the way, that this is all connected with the failure of the Saudi Aramco IPO in January. He wasn't able to sell it for anything like the kind of money that he wanted to. He didn't get Western investors buying it on any big scale, and he had a strong arm.
He had to extort his own family to buy.
Exactly. So what he wanted to do was he wanted to knock out US shale, recapture the US oil market in the expectation that this would then again cause Saudi Aramco to zoom up in value, and then he'd be able to restart his IPOs. This is what it was all about. And what he was doing was, and it's quite clear now, he was using the period from 2016 to stockpile oil in Saudi Arabia, which he was then going to use at a strategic moment, as he thought, to flood the US to knock out shale. Well, he must think that both the Russians and the Americans are idiots. They're not idiots. They may be all sorts of things, but they could see exactly what he was doing.
Does MBS really think we're back in